So just a few things that we're going to be going over in this session. So first is that I'm going to leave you all with tools that you need for course planning, and then we're going to actually do an Advise USC course plan. And then I'm going to talk about some academic and experiential opportunities, and as well as things that you can do for maximizing your summer. And then if you all have any questions, and then we're going to have workshop time. So there's 3 advisors here that we're going to kind of help you along the way if you need any help. So to introduce some of the advisors, I am Jessica. I believe some of you are my students, so you may know me. If you don't know me, I'm the advisor for all spring admitted students in the first year advising, and I also advise undecided students as well. And then we have Dolly over here. So Dolly is one of our social sciences advisors.
Don't pick me in natural sciences.
I know, sorry, one of the social sciences advisors. And then Annalise, who checked you in that table over there, is one of our natural sciences advisors. So yeah, so I'm gonna make you all talk to each other. If you could turn to a neighbor and then introduce yourself, someone new, and then tell them your name, your current major, and one thing you want to do before you leave us. And it could be go.
Hello.
Hi.
What's your name?
One thing I want to do. If I graduate,
Creative or interesting website, and there's such a great creative presence here that I'm not very creative, but I want to try something with film or performance or something interesting. There's just so much out there here. So right. So I want to definitely try at least one, something of the sort. Right. Yeah.
It is intense so far.
That's why
I feel like it gives us time to
Yeah, everyone got to know each other a little bit better, hopefully. Yes, you can connect after, in exchange, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, after. Okay, so first, I'm gonna talk about the tools that you'll need for course planning. So first is your STARS report. Hopefully, a lot of you are familiar with your STARS report. That is really the, one of the documents that you should look at to see what requirements you still have left, what you've completed, and all that. And then the USC catalog, which lists your major and minor requirements. And then we have sample course plans if you haven't, been exposed to our sample course plans that we have yet. And then Advise USC, which is the platform that you all use to, make appointments. That's also where you can create your course plans as well. So first, STARS report. To access your STARS report, you're gonna go on My USC, go to Oasis, and then right there is where you can see STARS report. So that's STARS report. The second, and then this is an image of your STARS report. And then with your STARS report, there's writing requirements. So usually writing 150, hopefully you're currently taking it or you've already taken it in the fall semester, or you will be taking it in the following fall semester if you're a spring admit that still needs writing 150. And then writing 340 is a course that's typically taken in your junior and senior year. So, kind of keep that in mind when you are creating your course plan to kind of put it in an appropriate spot. And then you have your foreign language requirements. So all of you should be aware that foreign language does have a time limit, meaning that you are supposed to finish it before the end of your sophomore year. So make sure that when you're doing your course planning, make sure foreign language is in the beginning of your semesters and not in the end because of that time limit requirement. And then there's also the GE. So if you're part of thematic options, yours does look a little different. But GEs, technically there are 10 GEs that you need to complete. There are 2 GEBs and 2 GECs, which a lot of people kind of freak out because they're like, I already did a GEC, why do I need another one? And then also with A, B, and C, you can double count with G and H, which means that your GEs can become 8. Now with thematic option, obviously it's a little different, so you would just follow your thematic option curriculum. And then I actually have a thematic option. So with thematic option, the other thing that I did want to mention, just in case that you aren't aware, GEG and GH, even though it is still on your STARS report, it will be satisfied by your core requirements. So do not list them in your course plan because it's not a separate requirement. It does count with your core requirements. Okay, and then the next section is your major and minor requirements. So it'll list your major and minor requirements. And then in addition to your major and minor requirements, just because sometimes the STARS report looks a little bit complicated or it's not easy to read, you can also use the USC catalog in order to look at what your major and minor requirements are. Just make sure that you are looking at your correct catalog. Some people will Google, like, let's say economics, major requirements, and it will show up a catalog, but it tends to show up like 2018 to 2019. There are changes that happens every year, so just make sure it is your catalog year, which all of you in this room, it should be 2023 to 2024. Because if you're looking at an old one, it could have a different requirement, it could have different prereqs, a lot of different things, and it will make you question what your advisors say. But just make sure you're looking at your correct catalog year. And then, so I don't know why I have a psychology one, but yeah. And then finally, after all that, you have to consider your electives. So you have the 128 total electives, and then you also, out of the 128, 104 of them have to be a dorm site elective. So this can change depending on whether you're trying to pursue a second major or if you're pursuing a minor, and it says it all in this like bracket here. And ask your advisor for more information, but it's also pretty explanatory on the STARS report as well. And then we have sample course plans. So there's a QR code right in the corner of that where you scan, and that's where it's going to lead you to all of our course plans. There's also I also put the link all the way on the top as well. At the end of this presentation, there will also be a handout, and it will have all of these links as well. So, but if you just want to access the sample course plans now, we have all the humanities, natural sciences, and social sciences. If you are languages and cultures, it will be up there very, very soon. But this is how you can kind of, get a general idea of what, your course plan can look like depending on what major that you are doing. Now, some things to be mindful of when you are doing your course plan. First is that if you are pre-health, you have pre-health requirements, which could be different from your major requirement depending on what major you are. So you make sure that you're adding those pre-health requirements on your course plan. The second thing is to be mindful of prerequisites and co-requisites. There are some courses you have to take before you can take another class. So an example for like econ majors or any of the econ related majors is that math 118 or 125, which is calculus 1, is required as a prereq before you can take econ 317. So meaning that you should not put them in the same semester because you won't be able to take them in the same semester. Another note about co-requisites, which is less common than prerequisites. Co-requisites can be thought of as prerequisites. Basically, you can take them before, or you have to take it in the same semester, basically. So that's why sometimes it may say co-requisite, but your advisor may be like, you have to take this one before that, just because that's the general recommendation. The third thing is that there are some courses that are only offered in a specific semester. So for instance, for like neuroscience majors, BIS 421 is only offered in the fall semester. So you cannot put that course in the spring semester because it's not going to be offered in the spring semester. So make sure to put it in the fall semester. And then the other thing to note is that flat rate tuition is from 12 to 18 units. A typical course load is 16 units. So generally, we kind of start out saying, just put 16 units, 4 courses on a semester. And then, if you want to add stuff, then you can. And then there are also some major requirements that are just not full 4-unit courses. So just be mindful with the units as well. For instance, like econ majors are required to take a 2-unit computing course. It is a major requirement, but it's only 2 units, which means that, it's not a full major course. It's not a full course, full 4-unit course, just say that way. And then some other things about minors. A lot of people kind of are like, oh, I have all these major requirements, and they see a minor and they're like, this minor looks like it covers a lot of my major requirements. Just know that with minors, All minors have this rule, at least 16 units, 4 courses must be unique to the minor and cannot overlap with any other major or minor. So when you are doing minors, if there are some overlaps, just know that you need at least to have put 4 courses on there for the minor, for it to be an actual minor that you can do. And then if you are considering summer courses in your course plan, please note the following. All upper division major courses, upper division meaning 300 to 400 level, major and minor required must be taken at USC. So which means that if you're planning to do a summer semester outside of USC, just know that usually upper division major and minor requirements are really, more taken in the fall and spring semester. And then also summer courses at USC can be limited in what is offered. So if you're like, I want to take this course over the summer at USC, it could just be possible that it's not offered at all over the summer. So you have to have that consideration as well. So just make sure to check with your academic advisor what you can and cannot take outside of USC during the summer. Okay, so Advise USC. Actually, I want all of you to go to Advise USC right now. So the link is all the way on the top. So it's really just www.usc.edu/advise. And I'm gonna give you all like half a minute to do that. half a minute to do that. So.
Can you repeat the address?
Yes, it's the email, the link address is www.usc.edu/advise. So is everyone on the page? I guess a thumbs up. Okay, cool. Okay. So on Advise USC, you're gonna go to that icon right there that I have in circle. I wish this was a laser, but it's not. But you're gonna go to course plans. And then when you click on course plans, this should show up. Does this show up when you click on, okay, great. I don't have access to this, that's why I had to, but yes, so basically, and then you can name your plan whatever it is that you want. Sometimes I would recommend naming it something that you actually know. So let's say like, your major, if you're considering some minors, maybe putting that in the heading. If you have an expected graduation term, I would probably put it on there as well too. Just so that you know what is the plan that you're doing. And then let's say I'm gonna do psychology BA. And then the starting term, it's totally up to you. If you want to see the full 4 years and you want to see your fall classes that you've taken in the fall, and or if not, if you want to just start in the current semester that you are in, which is spring 2024. I know it only pops up some like weird numbers at the end. Just ignore that. It's just spring 2024. I don't know why it does that. And then basically after you start the term, you're gonna click create plan. And then when you create plan, this is what it's gonna look like. It's gonna have basically, a section of spring 2024 term. And then on the right, you can basically search for actual courses. So if you're starting with spring semester, obviously you are taking spring classes, so you can search up the classes that you're taking. So for instance, as a psych major, because I think I did this as a psych major, one of the classes that you might be taking is Psych 100. So when you find Psych 100, you're gonna click on that Psych 100, and then you're gonna drag it into that, into this box right here. And then when you drag it into the box, that's where it's gonna show up. So that's kind of how you can add courses on your, Advise USC. And then I just basically added a whole bunch of stuff like GSEM, AMC, Spanish. So yes. So actually, as a matter of fact, I want you all to add your courses right now into that box. So find your course and then add it. And I'm gonna give you all about 2 minutes to do that. Any of you have any issues accessing this, please let us know. We have Annalise and Dolly who are here to help. So if you're confused where you should be doing. Should I just walk? Okay, I think most of you have most of your courses on there, so I'm just gonna move on. Okay, so that's one term, right? To add terms, you would go on that where the yellow bubble thing is, and then you would just add term, and then you would just search for the next term. So after spring 2024, it would be fall 2024. And then you can just add terms. And that's kind of how you can create course plans on Advise USC. You can also share this to your advisor. Okay, yeah, you can also share it to your advisor if you want your advisor to double check whether or not your course plan is accurate. And some of you may have already, gotten a course plan from your advisor that has been shared on here as well too. And you can, use this function. Okay, there are additional resources. So some of your advisors, some of your advisors may have used Advise USC. Some of your advisors may use this sample course planning worksheet just because Advise USC sometimes looks a little bit complicated. So this is also an additional resource. It is also on that same link as the sample course plans. If you click on the sample course plan worksheet, it basically looks like this, and it's a fillable PDF so that you can kind of fill it out and kind of see everything in one page essentially, if you want to also use this as well too. But just an additional resource. Okay, so now I am gonna make a sample economics course plan so that you can understand how we really create a course plan. So to start, my student, who I'm gonna call Justa, for instance, they came in with some AP credits. So they had AP microeconomics, and they had some AP biology credit, and they also have AP calculus AB credit. And they're interested in doing the economics BA. So in the fall semester, they took GSEM, they took Spanish 1, they took Econ 203, and they took CTCS 190, which is a GEA. And then currently in the spring semester, they're taking Writing 150, Spanish 2, and then they're taking Econ 303, and then AMST, another GE essentially, which just happens to double count C and G. So that's Jessica. Okay, now, so first things, remember writing requirements. So the first thing that we're gonna put on there are writing requirements. So they already are currently taking Writing 150 for the spring semester, so not gonna put that, but they still do have to do Writing 340. And as it mentioned, this is typically taken in your junior or senior year. So looking at the economics sample course plan as a guide, I noticed that, in spring semester of junior year, that's kind of where, they suggest. Now, you don't have to put it in that specific semester. You could put it any semester in junior or senior year, but I'm just gonna follow this course plan. So I listed all of my current course, the courses I've already taken in fall. I've listed, my current classes that I'm taking in the spring, and then I'm adding the writing requirements. So Writing 150 is right there, and then Writing 340 is there. So that's the writing requirement. Next is the foreign language requirements. So for the foreign language requirement, as I mentioned, freshmen must complete this requirement by the start of their junior year, which is essentially the end of your sophomore year. So spring semester of sophomore year. And once again, using the economics sample course plan as a base, as you can see, foreign language tends to be taken consecutively. So on my course plan as well, I'm also gonna make it consecutively. So that's Spanish 1, 2, and 3, and after I finish Spanish 3, that's when I'm gonna complete my foreign language requirement. Next is my GEs. So once again, thematic option, yours is a little different, but still very similar. So with my GEs, I need 10, but remember I took an AMST class that double counted as GEC and GEH. GEC and GEG, actually, so then I'm gonna list all of my GEs, and looking at the sample course plan again, this sample course plan kind of spreads out my GE, and I like that, so I'm gonna make it like that. If you rather do all of your GEs in the first 2 years of your, of your degree here, that's fine as well. It's up to you how you wanna construct it, but I wanna construct it where I spread it out. So my GEs, I kind of like put them like this, basically. So once again, I already did a GEC with my GSEM, and the AMST class that I took is a GEC. I just realized I messed up, but I realized I actually have 2 GEAs, but ignore that for a quick second. And then, so just pretend this is not a GE, okay? That's gonna make it accurate, sorry. But I have 2 GECs, I have 1 GEA, I need 2 GEBs, which are right next to each other. And then I also need a GED, but remember I took AP Biology, which counts as a GED. So I don't need to put GED on my course plan. And then I need a GEE, which I listed in fall 2026. And then I also need a GEF, but I have AP Microeconomics, so I do not need another GEF. So that's why I didn't put it on there. So those are all my GEs. And then next is my major requirements. So like I said, you can either use your STARS report or you can use the USC catalog. They're both the same thing. The STARS report is built off of the USC catalog, so that's why they're really the same thing. But sometimes using the USC catalog may be helpful because with the USC catalog, I can click on the courses and then it will show me the prerequisites. Like what are some of the courses I need to take before I can take Econ 303 versus the STARS report doesn't necessarily tell you. So sometimes that's why the USC catalog may be a better resource in that case. Now, so I'm gonna put so looking once again back to the sample course plan, all the things in yellow are my major requirements. So once again, I'm gonna use this as a sample and then I'm gonna put all my kind of economics courses. So I have Econ 203, AP Microeconomics is equivalent to Econ 202. So that's why I didn't list it because I already complete that. I don't need to complete that. And then I have Econ 205. And then, since the prereq for 303 is Math 118, which I have right here from AP Calculus and also Econ 203. That's why I put Econ 303 right here. And then basically I just listed all my courses, major courses. And once again, you can always change this. Just because you made it, in a given semester doesn't mean you have to follow it. You can always make changes. And yeah, so that's my major requirements. And then the final thing is my degree elective. So I need a total of 128 units in order to graduate. And out of those 128, 104 of those have to be Dornsife. So if I were to count all the things that I put on here, so I have 12 units from AP credit because AP are 4 units each, so that's 12 units. And then if I count all of the units that I currently have, right now I have a total of 102 degree units, which means I still need 26 more units in order to reach 128. And then if I calculate my Dornsife electives, so all the things that are housed in Dornsife essentially, and these AP subjects that I have are also housed in Dornsife, so that's why they count as Dornsife electives. I have a total of 76 Dornsife units, which means I still need, what is 104 next 76? I think I said it in the next slide. I still need 28 more Dornsife electives. So as of right now, I need 26 more degree electives, and I need 28 more Dornsife electives. Remember that Dornsife electives also count as degree electives though. So what this really means is that I really need just 28 more Dornsife electives because the 28 Dornsife electives are also going to be degree electives as well. So basically, some of the things that I did. So First is that I designated that the 2 GEBs that I'm gonna take are gonna be in Dornsife. So I'm gonna purposely choose a Dornsife GEB in order for that to count as Dornsife. Also for my GH and also my GEE. So I decided that those 3 GEs I'm gonna purposely choose a Dornsife GE. That's why I listed them as Dornsife. And then that's 4 classes. That means that's 16 units of Dornsife electives, which means I still need 12 more units of Dornsife, which I've listed right here. So that means I have to take a 4-unit Dornsife elective, 4-unit Dornsife elective, and another 4-unit Dornsife elective. So now, that means all my Dornsife electives are covered because I added 28 more units, which is 7 courses of Dornsife electives. So as I mentioned, Dornsife electives also count as degree electives. But remember those GEBs and GHs, I already counted them. So that's why they don't count as degree electives because I already previously counted them. So now I need to put 26 more. So that's why I have a degree elective, and then the Dornsife also counts as a degree elective. And then, so basically I really, in addition to the Dornsife electives, I really only needed 14 more units of degree electives. So now I have everything. And those 2 open space are just optional electives that I don't need. And the reason for that is because I had AP credits that I came in with, which that's why it decreased the amount of courses that I needed. So this is a sample econ course plan. Now, I also added one where it's like, I want to add a minor. I want to add a business finance minor, which is very popular with econ. So this might be your exact course plan, who knows? But with the business finance minor, so from the USC catalog, these are the requirements. So now I want to do the econ major with a business finance minor. So instead of degree electives, I basically replaced my degree electives with the business finance minor because it's anything that you take is an elective. And then you can use your electives to do minors. So, so that's why, with the econ, with the business finance minor, econ 203, econ 205 are the economics part. And then I added all the other business finance minor. The reason why the business finance minors are degree electives is because it's not housed in Dornsife. So you still do need to keep those Dornsife electives essentially. Actually, I messed up here, but if you add a minor, your Dornsife elective actually decreases to 96. So instead of the 104, you're actually only subjected to 96. But this is kind of just an example of how you can create a course plan. Yeah, cool. Any questions actually? Maybe I take a brief break. Cool, everyone has a good idea of how they can make their course plans. Cool. Okay, so some other considerations, yes.
Do you have a blank, like, square map thing that you?
Yes, it's on the sample course plan website page.
Okay,
Yeah, so which at the end there's a handout and it links everything that I have on here, so don't worry. So other considerations when doing your course plan. First is if you're part of a pre-professional. So if you're pre-health, remember to add your pre-health requirements. When are you taking the MCAT? Maybe in a semester you're taking the MCAT, maybe you don't put as many science courses. That way you have time to study for that MCAT. Are you planning on taking a gap year? If you are planning on taking a gap year, what are you thinking of doing with that gap year? Some people might consider, doing another major or doing a progressive degree or just not doing anything at all. Not anything at all. And then same thing for pre-law, like when are you taking the LSAT? In the semester that you're taking the LSAT, maybe you want a lighter course load. And yeah, they're all the same thing, basically, pre-graduate, pre-law, and pre-health. So some things to think about. And then also think about experiential opportunities as well. Maybe there is one semester that you want to do an internship, and because you're trying to do that internship, you don't want as many courses, that way, especially if you have to travel to that internship. Maybe you want to choose all the morning classes. Think about it that way. And with internship, with experiential opportunities with internships, there's a lot of programs. For instance, there's internship courses. So it's an actual course where you actually do your internship, and then obviously you have to do a little bit of work for, that course. Or there's some campus internship programs, Or there's the Dornsife in DC program. So this is, you're actually taking a semester in Dornsife, no, in DC on the campus that they just newly made. And then there's summer internships and all that. There's research opportunities. Maybe you want to do a research course in order to satisfy your major requirements. And then, yes, a bunch of stuff. And then study abroad as well. Like if study abroad is in your plan, you know, kind of just on Advise USC, you can write study abroad. This is the semester I'm planning a study abroad. And you want to make sure that if you are studying abroad, just know that there are some things you cannot do abroad, like GEs you cannot do abroad. But you can, you know, do major or minor requirements abroad. Just check with your academic advisor. And then some other things is like student organizations, you know, I think USC rushes in spring. So it's like, if you're rushing for a fraternity or sorority, it's like, do you want those heavy course loads, or do you want to be able to, you know, rush? Or if for organizations, are you trying to, you know, become an officer of that? Is there more duties required of you? So some things to think about. And then there's also mentorship opportunities, as well as volunteer opportunities that all play into this. Okay, so like I said, at the end, there's gonna be a handout with all the links, and it actually has more resources than what the PowerPoint has. And then maximizing your summer. So it's very, very similar to the experiential opportunities, honestly. So some academic opportunities to consider is like summer coursework, faculty-led programs, Maymester, Julymesters. You may all have heard of it already. And then you could do research over the summer as well. There are grants. You know, if you're doing kind of like just a research that is under a faculty. And then we do have one Cambridge summer study abroad program as well over the summer. And then there's also career development activities. And I think this is what a lot of students will do, you know, internships, part-time jobs, informational interviews, you know, just kind of going on LinkedIn, you know, reaching out saying, hey, I would like to learn more about, you know, what it is that you do, or how did you get to where you know, get to. And then research your field too, like get to know yourself, get to know what the different fields are, you know, and kind of looking at what do those employers want. And then you can also take the time to, you know, make or revise your resume or cover letter. We have a great FYE event called Career 101, where it talks heavily on what you can do career-wise, and has a lot of resources on there as well. And then finally, some personal kind of enrichment. So travel, you know, sometimes traveling gives you a different perspective, and, you know, also taking the time to just kind of dive into your hobbies, you know, having some self-care, you know, just because it's a little rough here sometimes at USC when you're competing with a lot of different people. And then also volunteer work once again, and networking. You know, we're so big at USC, we're so big on networking. You know, kind of just network with each other right now in this room. And then also like build new skills as well, you know, so, you know, Lincoln Learning has a whole bunch of stuff, you know, you can watch TED Talks. I know some people like to learn like coding over the summer. You know, you can always learn new things. And that's it. Questions? Is that great? So no questions. Yes.
How far ahead do you suggest looking to strike the balance between sort of like exploring interest now and also like having a plan down the road?
Yes, that's a good question. Annalise, you want to answer that?
I think regardless, you can always forward think and create plans. I think the important thing, regardless of how set you are in a plan, is to remember to be flexible. So, you know, there's certain things that you do have to really plan out well in advance. Like if you're pre-health and in a BS major and you're trying to go abroad, that's a lot to fit in to what you all have left, you know, 3-ish years. So planning that ahead of time is important. But you always want to be flexible. Your plans may change. You may decide that you're no longer the major that you are. You may decide that you're more interested in other opportunities. I always also say, like, be really flexible with like your GE kind of stuff. You know, don't get caught into a plan and say like, I have to take my GEB this semester. It could also be a GEC or a D or whatever else you need. So I just say, you know, remain flexible. It's great to plan, but remain flexible. If you are still like deciding on a major, a minor, whatnot, you know, build in that exploration. See where you have the electives. Can you take one of your electives earlier on So that way you can explore a econ course or a psych course or a business course that you're interested in minoring in. So yes, still leave opportunities, still leave room for exploration, but I'm sure a lot of the reason why you all are here is because you're interested in seeing what the next 3 years or 3.5 years might look like. So create a plan, run it by us. We'll help you see if that seems feasible. Run it by your continuing student advisors. Just remain flexible. It can still change. And being too committed to your plan normally ends up in disappointment because you're always gonna have something happen. The course won't be offered the semester you thought it would. You gotta move it to spring.
Yes. Anything to add, Dolly?
I think just kind of tagging on what Annalise said, know which ones can be flexible and which ones have deadlines, right? So if you know you want to study abroad junior year, when's the application due? By when do you need to start talking with your departmental advisors, start planning for that? And build that into your schedule. It might not be that 4-year map schedule, maybe it'll be a note underneath that schedule, right? Because there are some things that aren't going to be containable in that 4-year plan. Some things will be outside of that, just like learning happens outside of the classroom all the time, right? So don't forget those types of experiences that exceed the 4 walls.
Any other questions? Yes.
If you plan on taking courses at a community college over the summer, is that a time sensitive?
Depends on your major.
Yes and no. So there are certain restrictions on how many units that you can bring into if you take coursework over the summer outside of USC. So before you hit 64 units, you can transfer in up to a total of 64 units. So until you reach junior standing, 64 units, you can transfer in up a total of 64 units, or almost half of your USC degree. But after you hit 64 units, then, which typically for our students is happening after the end of the sophomore year, so that summer after sophomore year, but could be earlier for you depending on if you have AP or IB or any kind of credit before high school graduation. After you hit that junior standing, you can transfer in a max of 8 additional units from community college or outside of USC. So there is kind of a time limit in that, like, that first summer is often the time where you can take, more units. After a certain point, after you hit junior standing, you can transfer in up to 8 more units. There is a difference though between unit and subject credit, and I want to make that clear. So even if you were to take more than 8 units over the summer after you hit junior standing, you might only get up to 8 that count towards your 128 units to graduate, but you can still fulfill subject requirements. So if you took 3 classes that all count for your major, you can still fulfill those major requirements potentially. You just would only earn 8 units towards the 128 to graduate. So yes and no. My biggest thing with transfer coursework is it's very complicated. There are a ton of policies, and the best thing you can do is talk to your advisor and say, I want to take this over the summer. What will this count for? And they can help you say, like, it's going to count for 8 units. It's going to count for, it could potentially count for the credit for the major. They show you how to do pre-approval with transfer credit. So if you do have anything specific over the summer, best case, talk to your advisor. Tell them what you want to take. They'll let you know what policies you need to be aware of.
Yes, that's very important. Please talk to your academic advisor. Don't just go taking summer courses and then come back after, because that usually doesn't work out well. Any other questions? No? Okay, so this, please fill out the post-event survey. Please. To know how I can improve. Maybe I'm talking too fast, maybe I'm talking too slow, maybe more than one person has to talk, and not just hear me talk. So please help us fill out the survey. It really helps inform us how we can, better make our events. So I'm gonna leave this up for a bit, and then in the next slide is where you can access the handout. Where it has all the links and all the stuff. And it has the slides too, linked on there as well too. And it will also have a recording of this when we get the recording as well too. So if you wanna hear me talk again.
Or if you missed the first part because you were coming from class, you can always catch in.
Right,
Or
that's
check,
true.
catch.
Or if I talk too slow, you can 2 times speed it. So.
Jessica, I somehow don't think that's your problem. No.
Okay, so this next slide is the resources. And then for the remaining time, if you wanna work on your course plan, Annalise, me and Dolly are all here to kind of help you look over stuff and, check stuff, answer any questions, yeah. So thanks for attending.